Welcome back to the Cricket Matters podcast season 2. We've been on a slight hiatus. I liken it to the writer's strike in America, that's what I'm going to say. But we are back again for a new season. It's a slightly different format this time. We're going to be doing more short format, 10 to 15 minute podcasts and try and jam pack it with as much information and less waffle as we can. Would you agree, James? Is that where we're going?
Exactly right. So the writer's strike, is that technically you being on strike for the past 12
Could have been,
months?
yeah, maybe. Could have been me, yeah.
Is that part of the NDA now where we can't discuss what actually happened?
Exactly. Yeah, the contracts were signed. It shall never be talked about ever again. So, as I said, this is shorter format, 10 to 15 minutes, and we are going to crack straight on. Today's topic is all about hydration tips for cricketers, what cricketers should drink during matches. James, talk to me a little bit, before we dive in, what was your hydration status? What did you drink when you were out in South Africa earlier this year playing the World Cup? Did you have hydration on your mind at all?
Absolutely, because it was bloody hot. It was absolutely boiling hot. You know, a couple of the games at 37 degrees, and if you don't hydrate, you're absolutely screwed. Not just for the game itself, but for multiple days after that. It's just impossible to keep on playing. So hydration is a big part and key component to everything cricketers do, not just when it comes to technical ability, but also cognitive ability too, because cricket's all about game of making decisions, making great decisions at the right time. And if you're dehydrated, you're not in the right mental state to make those decisions, as a lot of club cricketers will probably understand, because a lot of them get out between 20 and 30 when they're batting after making some poor decisions. Almost like I did on Saturday, getting out when I scored mid-20s. So how about that? So, but it wasn't because of hydration, it was because of me playing a stupid shot. That's more important.
Indeed. So let's just run through. Could you run through some of the things that when you are dehydrated, some of the things that happen to the body? What can be some of the symptoms?
So many things. Let's pull up what I just found on the research before. I think that's the most important thing. So let me dig up. If you're watching us on YouTube now, because we are now on YouTube, you can see what's going on. So look, there's a couple of things that are key, and this is not just from us saying it that we've known and seen anecdotally. It's actually from the research, because they've actually studied this in multiple athletes. So here's what we know. Right, is compromised athletic performance and increased risk of heat injury. Heat injury could be multiple things, but more so around pulled muscles, strains, tears, that type of thing. How many people do we know recently have pulled muscles? Stay tuned for another episode about that recently. But because with the warmer weather, a lot of people have started pulling muscles. So that's a big thing you've got to think about. Impaired physical and mental performance. That is what the researchers know from back in 2010. Increased injury rates across high school athletes, of kids and parents who are listening. Again, kids who are dehydrated, they don't even think about it. It's one of those issues. And again, it all comes down to cardiovascular function too. So being dehydrated impacts your performance cardiovascularly, which means you don't have the stamina and endurance to keep on going for longer. And we all know cricket is an endurance type game. So that's based on the bits of studies. We'll try and link them in the show notes down below, but that's just an idea of how many things that impact you across the board when you're playing. But it's something that cricketers don't even think about. They just think about the drinks breaks after 15, 20 overs or so, and that'll get them through. It's not about that. It's what you drink in the morning of the game, before the game, before you start playing, and during the game. And we're going to give some tips about that shortly. All right, Josh.
It is indeed, absolutely. And before we go on to that, I just want to talk about, so Director of Player Health and Performance for the New York Yankees, a man called Eric Cressy, who are a big fan of his work. And this is something he talks about, because you might think, dehydration, water, drinking water, it can't be that important. But he, like I said, he is the Director of Player Health and Performance for the New York Yankees. And he says, top of the tree, top thing to think about for him is hydration status. And he says you would be shocked at how many players are chronically dehydrated. And we're talking about top level baseball, Major League Baseball players here. So if they're not getting the hydration right, what of us mere mortals, what chance have we got? So it's really something that we've got to think about. And as he goes on to say, it can negatively affect reaction time, energy levels, power output, and as you pointed out, mental focus. Why'd you get out after, when you get to 20 or 30 runs, you get out because you can't concentrate. What then, James, would be some tips to optimize your hydration?
Let's go beyond just drinking a glass of water and drinking some squash, right? let's think about electrolytes. Electrolytes are key. It's been known to improve hydration, improve the ability to absorb water. Because sometimes people don't have the ability to absorb as much water as you think. Yes, we drink the water, but if the body can't absorb it, it becomes an issue. So the electrolytes do help.
So I've got a good story about that I've experienced that. We can talk about it afterwards.
Cool. Well, so let's start with electrolytes. Okay, I personally, I'm not affiliated to any brand, but I use the SIS brand of electrolytes. I'll have on the game day. I'll have one in the morning with my breakfast. I'll have another one before I go out to bat or play, and then when I'm playing, right, I'll have electrolytes mixed in with something else, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the idea is I'm continually having electrolytes throughout the day. Even after the game, I have another drink with electrolytes in it. Now, me as a 40 plus something cricketer, I have to take my nutrition and hydration seriously. Otherwise, I don't recover fast enough to keep on playing as many games as I do throughout the week. People always ask me, how do you play so many games? Well, I have to think about so many factors, but hydration and nutrition are a big part of it. Okay, so electrolytes on a game day, I'm having one in the morning, one before lunch, or before we start, 1 or 2 potentially, as depending on how long I'm batting for and playing for, and then one at the end. So that's 4 to 5 tablets during a game.
So you would have electrolytes in your water on your drinks break then? It wouldn't just be plain water?
No. Or the squash they bring out. I always have my own water bottle with me, or I ask the guys to bring out a bottle when I'm batting over long periods of time with the electrolytes in it. Now, what I do with this, because it's not just about the hydration aspect here, you've got to eat as well. There's some fuel got to go into the body too. So consider yourself and think of yourself as a triathlete, right? I know many of you may hate running, swimming and biking. That's okay, but you've got to think of yourself like a triathlete. So what do? Some of them consume gels. I don't like taking the gels, right? It affects my stomach in ways you don't want to know. But the idea is some type of carbohydrate drink. Now you can get these powder type mixes. I use Endure from Awesome Supplements as an idea, but 15 to 30 grams of carbohydrates mixed in with the electrolytes gives me some fuel to keep me going. So it's a combination of the hydration aspect plus the carbohydrate intake that gives me the energy to try and stay as focused as possible, but also minimize the risk of poor cognitive function, making poor decisions, and the ability to recover faster the following days. So that's the simple approach to do it. There is an expense to some of these things, but it's not as big. It all depends on whether you want to take the game seriously or not. And that's my tip to any aspiring cricketer out there.
But as you said, it is really important to take the electrolytes with the water because, we recommend people try and drink, depending on your size, 2.5 to 3. But obviously if you're playing cricket, then you're looking at 3.5, 4 litres of water at least probably, aren't you? Especially if it's hot. And, you start drinking that amount of water and you're not used to it, then you'll be going to the bathroom a lot. But that's because you haven't got the electrolytes that you need to absorb that water. So electrolytes are absolutely vital. Do you remember many moons ago when I told you I did the Paras 10? Do you remember me telling you about doing the Paras 10? So it's a 10-mile run in boots and full kit, and I think I was carrying about 16 kilos. What's that? 40 pounds on my back or something through the hottest couple of hours of the day. And I got to the end, and they'd run out of energy drinks, so I was just drinking water. So I was like chugging water like nobody's business, and I with no electrolytes, and I started to feel a little unwell. I should say, and I ended up just vomiting tons of water because, like I said, I didn't have the electrolytes, didn't have any salt in my body, basically. It all sweated out, so I just felt horrendous. And it wasn't until I think I ate a bag of crisps or something just to get some salt in my body, and I finally stopped shaking. So yeah, you don't want to be in that position, that's for sure. That's why electrolytes are really important. Did you get that story, James?
Nope, I didn't get the last bit.
You didn't get that? It was just a great story about hydration and me throwing up water.
There you go. I heard that a little bit until the end there. I'll tell you what, the internet up in the northwest. Let's just say the hamsters and the wheels aren't doing their work today for the internet for Josh. Some people out there. There you go. But no, I think just to reiterate the point and tidying it out. Look, yes, you got to look after nutrition, but hydration is something I see across the board. Simple test, go for a pee, see how yellow or brown your pee is. I think that's the good way to look at it. Right. If it is, you're dehydrated, it needs to be on the clearer side of things. And again, for the older cricketers out there who are peeing a lot, because a lot of them at the age of 40 start to pee a lot more, start adding this in during your day-to-day life. Maybe you may not, maybe you may stop going to the bathroom quite so often late at night too. So just a little tip for you guys too. It's the ability of the body, it's the ability of the body to absorb the water, not just take the water in. So little 2 pence today to help you guys hopefully perform better. Think smarter when you're batting and when you're bowling and when you're playing. Think clearer, but also reduce the chances of injury and also potential muscle cramps and spasms, which may happen now as the warm weather is coming in. I say warm weather when it gets above 25 degrees if we're lucky this summer.
What warm weather we're having in this country this year, I have no idea, but hopefully some of you are having some sunshine out there, because we're certainly not. But that is it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. And if you would like our free training plan, then go to cricketmatters.com/train.